Ah,
Yeah, the unemployed vacation is fucking, ugh, it's chewing me up, man.
are you still moving?
Yeah, eventually.
Okay.
Um, no, I just had a bunch of stuff, kind of wrap up.
Okay.
So now it's like, fucking buckle down and job hunt.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's always a great time.
Um, yeah, I mean, fuck, finding work is easy, but it's finding work you want to do that's tough.
Yeah. Because don't nobody want to do no kind of work.
No, no. Um, no, I went back and got licensed for the forklift and shit like that. So if I have to fall back to it, I'm ready to. But I'm gonna spend a week or two trying to find something that I actually want to do.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Man, yesterday I talked to Mike Lapine for like an hour and we talked on Google and my laptop sat on my bed and totally overheated and shut down in the middle of like the luxurious bed that we have is so rich and thick. The computer sank down into the pillow top and fucking overheated. Like the computer just turned off. I was like, what the fuck? I picked it up and I could smell. It smelled like hot fabric and hot computer. Yeah, that's what kind of conversation we were having. It was,
It was hot.
getting the bed on fire. But then I like after we talked, I sat down and started redrawing page one, which is I guess something I'll get into. But I started using blue pencil for the whole thing, and which I didn't use at all last issue. Like I didn't use any blue pencil. I just used regular pencil.
So
And
is blue totally a new thing for you?
yes,
Okay.
totally new.
Okay,
Never,
because
never even.
we've probably spent a good hour, at least in the 32 episodes we've done now, shitting on blue pencils.
Yeah, like I never thought that it would work for me. I thought that I drew too small for the basic point that you get on a blue pencil, and that was always my kind of reason to stay away from it. And I got one when I was at the art supply store getting other stuff, and I used it for um, some of the ramshackle stuff.
Okay.
Um, it was like this is a perfect time to try something new. Is on this, and I liked it, but I didn't even use it. I didn't even use it that as much as I'm using it now. So far, I've drawn like the first half of page one in all blue, and I'm just gonna ink over it, and I won't have to. I mean, the whole. I'm just gonna ink over it, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna color it, and then I'm gonna scan it, and then I'm gonna see what I got. Like I usually, would wait all 20 pages to ink and color, but I'm gonna ink it right away, right over the blue,
Mhm.
and scan it and see what it does. If I could cut out the erasing and re-inking that I've always toiled with,
Yeah.
and if I could shave that time off of there too, and if I could leave the as much gray and smudgy shit off of my art as I possibly can. I mean, I'm ripping up and down these pages with number two pencils all day and grinding the fucking eraser trying to get that shit clean.
Hmm.
And it definitely takes its toll, it does its damage. And so I'm gonna give it a shot and see what it do. If I got to redraw page one again, it won't be the end of the world.
Now,
Good.
now, what were you talking about like the point on the blue pencil? Like how would the tip of the pencil be different from regular
Well,
graphite?
I use a mechanical pencil with
Ah,
the smallest point ever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotcha.
And even though that's what I use, it doesn't matter because I still use the same nibs and micron Copics when it comes to inking. No matter how small my pencil, it doesn't fucking matter because I still use the same shit when it comes down to inking.
Yeah.
And I kind of noticed last issue when I was inking or when I was doing the Squirrel comic or working on the Ramshackle things that I definitely trace over my pencils to be sure, but like there's also stuff I was better than I was giving myself credit at just freehanding some inks.
Okay.
And I'm going to try that this time around. If it means that it turns out a little different, then maybe that's what it means, but I'm gonna at least give it a shot to maybe it'll, I don't know, maybe it'll be cool. It's kind of stemming from the being excited about these blue pencils is kind of stemming from we went and got issue 14 printed.
Yep.
And the actual copy of the comic, it is cool. It is a cool, it looks just fine, you know, it looks just fine, but it's still not as tight as I would have liked it to be. Or at least what it's not as tight as I had hoped or expected or whatever, or I had imagined it to be. Like the black isn't as true black in the print as it had been in 13 and annual 2. This air conditioner vent is pointing right at me. Let me know if I get blowy. And so like the first thing I noticed was that the blacks weren't as true, but looking at 12 and 13 or at annual 2 and 13, while the blacks are true, the rest of it is dark. Like the dark Copics are rather dark. And this time around, the whole look of the book is softer, and that it looks just fine. You know, like shit, looking at the, I think that the printer made the right choice in it. It was just that, you know, it's my fucking baby that I worked on for a year. I worked on this shit for a year, you know, like, or I worked on this shit for 10 months or whatever. And like the amount of buildup that comes along with 10 months of into this thing and then getting this thing. And it was like, okay, like this is cool. And I've read it 5 million times and I think it's great. And I'm happy with what it was, but another part of it was kind of what I realized too, is that a lot of the things in the print, some of the things that shine through on the print to me, I mean, all I see are flaws. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like anybody else might think, and I try to remember too, that's just me, but all I see are the flaws. And any of my line warbling, I want all the lines to be cleaner than they are. I want the shit to look like computers, but I don't want to use computers. You know what I'm saying? I want the shit to look like an animation cell, but I'm a guy drawing on a fucking piece of Bristol. Like,
yeah.
So like part of that is what I am putting on it and the expectations that I bring to it. But so to be able to maybe get closer to what my expectations are, the not having to erase shit and re-ink it, like, you know, lay down pencil, ink it, erase the whole thing, and then lay down ink on top of what I'd already inked. Maybe I won't get so much line warbly shit. Maybe I'll get a truer ink the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just marks and shit on the page that I can see from when I'd erased or whited out over ink, and like that shit bugs the shit out of me. And if I can give myself a head start by using blue,
yeah.
I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear how it comes back after scanning, because I recently just picked up my my first 2 Micron pens, and yeah, the erasing over it is a fucking problem, man. I already don't like it.
Yeah,
and but I really like. I mean, this is like literally my first time inking shit, because I usually just scan and fucking fuck with levels in Photoshop and get that graphite look in black. But no, I really like the way the marker actually looks on the page, man. As long as the black fills that I'm doing don't look like they were done by a friggin' 8-year-old, and you can see every time like the page was turned for a more comfortable position.
Man, there's sometimes, man, with Copics and shit, there's just nothing you could do, man.
Well, I'm doing small circles. I'm not doing I'm not just going
Yeah.
up and down the whole page. I'm doing like small circles that like cover each other. And I mean, like that's the only thing I've seen that works well, where I can't tell how which angle the page was at for the guy trying to get through this big fucking page of black.
Yeah, oh man, it's the worst. Like for big black, I'll get a fucking Marks a lot.
Yeah, see, I'm even thinking of doing brushwork for that.
Yeah, just killing it.
Yeah, just saying, fuck this,
saturating that shit, right? Ruining the paper, making the paper stink forever and ever with the horribleness. But yeah, I'll do that shit.
Yeah, but yeah, like I mean, and I mean, the only reason I picked up these pens was because I started painting. I have no idea why I even started painting.
Yeah, hey folks, if you get an opportunity, check out what's your page? What's your YouTube?
Subscribe. It's just a potato waste, man.
Okay. Subscribe to Potato Waste on YouTube and check out Sean going through the motions and figuring out how to mix colors. That shit was dope, dude.
Oh, dude, it's fun, and it was a fun exercise too, man.
Like it's I don't know. I was thoroughly impressed that not only did it, but I learned a lot too, because you were doing it, man.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it up too. It was fun. Like I had the boy here on the weekend, and he saw just like my mess of paints around, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" So I was just like, "Here, man, freaking watch Dad mix some colors." So he ended up making like 3 pages of them himself.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so I was just like, it's fun shit, man.
It's a really good exercise, man, and it's and having it on video to refer to sound. I mean, it's just a good idea too for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like, because I don't have the best of memories.
Right.
So I mean, like when I'm done with this color mixing or whatever it is I'm doing, I can I end up having that sheet for reference after, but I'm just like, what was I even doing there? Like
there, right?
Why did I do this? And go back, watch the video. I'm like, oh yeah.
It's super handy.
Yeah, no, I think I started that just for the fact that digital just isn't tactile enough. I don't want to have to, if I like something that I draw in color, I don't want to have to like run up to the printers and pay $250 just to bring it back and have essentially just a photocopy of what I have in my sketchbook already. So it's just like, you know what, fuck this, man. I'm gonna do something where I can actually hang up an original.
Just do it. Yeah, man. That watercolor shit is appealing, man, for serious. Like I don't, it would be fun to work in that I would think like that would have been good to do on the fucking squirrel comic. Because I don't know, I don't want to do it on robots at all, but
that would be tough. I would imagine.
but I would, oh man, even looking at the copy of issue 14 and seeing like where some of the Copics bled out of the lines that I was trying to keep them in, and I didn't even notice it with my human eye, but the fucking scanner fucking noticed, and
it didn't forgive you, did it?
No, it is certainly unforgiving.
Yeah, that's I mean, and that's it.
And I would imagine that's the bitch with watercolors too, man. How keeping that shit tight, but then you got to have that. Man, I just read Terraquill. Yeah, cover to cover, or I guess I finished it. I was reading a chapter, a reading session, and the shit was dope. Sean Daly is a great artist, but he is a great writer as well. Like, I don't know, man. I was really impressed with how much I enjoyed it, on both levels, artistically and the writingly as well as artistically. She was dope, but that dude drops out watercolor, and it gives books like dreamlike kind of qualities to a man. But except for when I was talking to His Royal Highness John Bunger a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about his ramshackle pieces. That dude watercolored all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude is a badass.
Right?
Like, I thought all of that shit was computers, dude. I thought all that shit was straight up computers. And that dude is a fucking badass.
Oh yeah, man. Like, he pulled out a secret weapon for those pages because fuck, man, that shit blew me away.
Like, that dude is gonna get some, man, we'll talk. So that dude's gonna get some props in Ramshackle for sure. Like, he's gonna be the surprise hit of that book. I believe it. But so the folks that watched last episode of Welcome to the Way of the Comic Book Ronin, everybody, the folks that watched the last episode with our good buddy Mike Lapines, we talked about editing and whatever, talked about a whole bunch of shit. And through all of these conversations, Sean is now working with Fifth Dimension Comics.
Indeed.
In an editorial capacity. And in his first order of business, he assembled a creative team unlike no other to provide art for an upcoming horror anthology. I said horror. I don't know if that was part of the secret, but I don't.
Well, it's like a horror sci-fi kind of.
And it's called Ramshackle, and it's coming soon from Fifth Dimension. And Sean created the concept, that put together the team, and stacked up all that art within 6 weeks. I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks max. 6 weeks. It felt like.
Yep.
Right. Done. And I was totally blown away and thoroughly impressed with how the whole thing went down.
Well, thanks, man. And you guys have killed it. And I can't wait for people to fucking see this, man, because it's so good. But the stage we're at right now, we're just having like a little communication breakdown with the printer.
Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah. So if we don't hear from this guy by, say, Sunday, I will be pulling my Ronin ass up to Business Depot. I will be printing out a proof, and I'll be hand stitching that motherfucker.
Wow.
And the price for the book just went up $95.
But you don't have to sell nearly as many now. Nice.
No, we just want to get a proof in our hands as fast as possible, so we can get it in the Kickstarter video. Then that's really the only thing that's holding us up, because I mean it's been a while now since everything's been turned in and that PDF has been assembled, and it's just not hearing back on emails that's just holding shit up. And you guys did too good of a job for this shit just to be sitting on my PC.
How man, talk about the experience a little bit. How how the whole idea come about, or how did how'd you pick the team? Run down the fucking roster.
We've got let's see, who do I have on my wall? Because you you could just pretty much go through our guest list from Ronin. And it just worked out that way. But essentially, I've invited everyone that's been on Ronin episode. Because I mean, we didn't invite people on our show that were fucking slouches, so why would I invite slouches to work on the book? You know, we've got Ray Wegner who did the. Let's see if we can. I mean, motherfucker's on my wall right behind me. Let's see if we can.
I met Ray at ICE, and I imagine you met Ray the year before at C2E2.
Totally. So let's see if we can.
He is a very good dude.
Yeah, there's Ray Wegner's Batman print right there, and some Tim Hortons cups. You know, but I mean, we've got Claire Connolly in there, John Bungert, Tim Conroy, Sean Daly, yourself, John Bunger, and DNS as himself.
Yeah, man, that shit's all fucking pretty tight too, for sure.
There was a couple other invites that didn't pan out, but this is only going to be volume 1, so I mean they might be around for volume 2. Who knows? You know, assembling the team wasn't difficult. I mean, all you guys were down, you know, right away, which, you know, I thank y'all for. The idea or the concept kind of just came about during a fifth dimension board meeting, as we like to call them, which are really just perverted Skype sessions on Saturday afternoons. Yeah, I mean, the topic of cocks and balls comes up a lot in those meetings.
Gross.
But I mean, if you look through any page DNS is drawn, you will also find cocks and balls hidden through there. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me. That's where the conversation leads to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, look at some Bill and Lenny, man. There's some shit there. But
right.
No, they didn't have any. They were waiting for Obscura. When I joined up, they were waiting for Obscura's Collected to come in. They were waiting on some script work to be done. David had just started writing, so there was really nothing coming out. Nothing that was really being worked on. Like DNS wasn't, I don't think, was drawing anything for anybody because they were waiting for scripts from Kickstarter backers, because the next Obscura is going to be 2 scripts from backers of the Collected. So those had to be dealt with before he could even start drawing. So it was just like a lull in production.
Right.
So I was just like, well, shit, why don't we just do some badass art, man? And so, yeah, that's where, like, you know, all the friends of Ronin came in. And, you know, this art book just might be a annual or fucking semi-annual or quarterly fucking thing now, because it seemed like you guys had a good time doing it. I think you'll have an even more pleasurable recollection of it once you guys get some coin in your pockets for doing it.
Yeah, man, I want a copy too. You know, like that's the coolest thing. And the I don't know. This is perfect for me, to be honest with you. Like to do a couple, you know, a couple pieces like that something I had never got to do before or had a reason to do it. I feel like I got to try some different stuff. I feel like I got to show a different side of my art while still getting to maintain my style. And I get to be in a book with some really cool people and some really great artists that I really respect and consider, you know, contemporaries and allies in art and comics. And it'll be something really cool to be on a shelf. And you know, I don't know. I think it's dope that you made it happen and we got to make fucking comics together again.
It's it's going to be pretty badass when it's assembled as well. And it's because I mean it's not just a straightforward like turn the page book. I don't know if I went over any of the things. I'm sure I did in the emails to the Ramshackle crew. But I mean, there's all sorts of like reasons for why like the pages are in the orders that they're in.
Right.
In the book, like they're like we put some thought, like actual thought into this. Like I didn't want to just like group up Tim's stuff and like have 5 pages of Tim's work and then all your stuff like side by side and then all of Sean's stuff side by side and just do it by artist. Like it was like that's no fun.
Right.
I mean, it's one way to organize shit, but
right, make it like a mixtape. Hook that shit up.
It's a mixtape and like and it's meant to be fun. We're going to be like we went through the pricing for setting up the Kickstarter tiers, and like one aspect to the book that I did was turn the book into like almost like posters, like
right.
like those old friggin' Tiger Beats that you'd get. You'd rip out the staples and hang up Corey on your wall. And,
yeah, dude, all the Corys.
Yeah, man, Tracy Goldman, right on.
Holy shit, that was Kirk Cameron's sister on Growing Pains.
That's right. That's right.
Oh man, wow.
Tina Yothers, man.
Oh man, Tina Yothers was why they developed the technology to be able to tell what a baby will look like in the future, because like the network had so much trouble with how Tina Yothers turned out that they're like, something has to be done. NASA develop that technology.
I could see that happening, man.
So anyway, Tiger Beat.
So yeah, anyways, like I kind of assembled it so that you are supposed to pull the fucking staples out of this book. Like right.
Make that motherfucker perforated.
Well, no, not necessarily.
I want to perforate.
Well, we set a tier so that, I mean, you buy one book, you're going to get a bunch of shit. But if you buy a second book, the second book's dirt fucking cheap.
Right, okay.
Because the intention is for you to actually have 2 books. If you want to keep one nice for yourself, and if you want to fucking destroy one and fucking pin the shit on your wall.
I know somebody that's watching right now that loves to fucking cut up comic books. Mike Lapine.
Yeah.
So please.
Yeah. All the buttons are coming,
buddy.
No, but I mean, like, there's a couple of people did some Jonesy pictures. The clown from Obscura.
Yeah, yeah.
And one image is opening up the book, but as the other side of that page is at the back of the book. Well, the other Jonesy that's Kick-Ass 2 is on the other side of that page. So when you open up that book and take it out, you can have a double page spread of Jonesies.
Nice. That's badass.
But then when you flip it over, they're also going to be, depending on which setup I've done, the other side of that page may be nothing but black and white shit.
Okay.
So you can actually, since you're destroying your book and going to be hanging shit up on your wall, hopefully, or whatever, you're going to have color things on one side, but black and white on the other. So if you want to learn how to digitally color, you can scan those black and whites in before hanging that poster up on your wall and learn how to color with shit from Ramshackle. Like, dude, it's crazy the fun you can have with this book, man.
That's a good idea, dude.
Yeah. It was a blast. It felt like I didn't do anything up until, people were saying, good job getting this done. And I'm like, dude, I didn't do shit. Until everything was turned in, and then I was like, oh my God, this is work.
You kept the communication lines very open with everybody. You set up that Dropbox so everybody could check out what everybody else was doing. Mm-hmm. And you stayed on top of everybody and was well aware of where everybody was with their art, and I don't know, you did more than just wait for the art to show up, and from what it looked like.
And that's what I complained about before taking on an editor role, and so that's what I made sure I did this time around.
Almost, yeah, definitely. You fucking did it. Yeah, you have become the Shogun.
I'm the unshogun shogun.
Yeah, dude.
But no, you actually did remind me. I need to send out an email to the Ramshackle crew again, just letting everyone know, like, why things are taking forever.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, so like, fuck, man, I cannot wait for that shit to drop. I think people are gonna fucking lose their minds. Just seeing, and not even, I mean, because not the purpose, but the how should I put it? The mission I gave you guys, was do one image from a 5D book, and then anything else you wanted to do was out of your own fucking head.
Right.
And the things that you guys did out of your head, like, were fucking awesome, man. For a book that's not a comic, I'm so glad you're the one that has fucking panels.
I made a comic anyway.
Yeah, like, I was just like, fucking right. Yeah.
Man, I've been on so much, like EC horror stuff, suspense stories and Tales from the Crypt and that type of shit, that I was all about doing some crazy horror shit, or at least something in the vein of,
terrifying
50s and horror comics, and telling a story in as few panels as possible. Like, it's something that was an exercise for me, and I thought it came out great. Like, there's this bit in Scott McCloud Understanding Comics where he talks about, like, you see a panel of a guy holding a knife and a lady screaming, or a guy holding a knife coming up behind a lady or whatever, and then the next panel is an exterior shot of a building with a scream word bubble going into the window.
Yeah.
And you kind of tell your own story there and draw your own conclusions.
Yep.
And I kind of, took that to heart and tried to tell a story that you could fill in your own blanks between those panels, getting to the end. I mean, I kind of guide your hips or whatever, but it was an exercise. I thought it turned out pretty good. I had a good time doing it.
Yeah. I was talking with David a couple weeks ago, and yeah, he was blown away by your original page, man. And like, there's so many sleeper pages. Like, I mean, you were saying, like, John's gonna be sleeper in this. There were so many pages that came in. I was just like, whoa, what? Like, I can't believe this, man. Like, it was just like, it was so good. But the 3 panels that you pulled off, like, I mean, like, when you told me what your concept was going to be, I was like, this is going to be awesome. I had no idea that you were going to be doing a sequence, and I was just like, man, like, I can't wait to see how he's going to tackle this in a one, just one image. And I'm so glad you didn't try doing it in one image, man. I was just like, it came in, and I was like, this couldn't be more Doug. And
yeah, man.
Exactly what he wanted to do, and you killed it, man.
Like the conversation we had last time about working on the Ascension thing, and kind of instead of embracing my style, kind of working against my style. Like, I wanted to approach this as so I wanted to approach it as in using my style, but in a through horror goggles, or and I had a good time both times. And the other piece, the 5D related, the obscure related piece,
Yep.
Is a lot of fun too. And I really enjoyed doing that one. And it was that I got to do some stuff that I'd never done before with perspective and angles and stuff, like whatever. It was fun. And that the original one was a lot of fun too, but I still got to totally do it my way. Like you said, make one piece, but it's 3 panels, whatever, I'm doing my thing. But it turned out real cool. And when I did that squirrel comic for Carl Smith, so right, well, I'll tell that story super quick. And when in the middle of us talking about it, let me give me 12 minutes. So right when I finished
Squirrel.
Monkey Squad 14. No, I finished Monkey Squad 14, and we talked about doing the rave joint story.
Oh yeah.
As a comic, and Carl sent me this script about 2 pot smoking squirrels that encounter a wizard that grows weed, and it was fuck, man. You can't
say no to that.
Can't say no to that, man.
No way.
And the idea of doing animals was very appealing to me. And cartoon type animals, and it was something totally different, but something that I could totally see within my style. As soon as I did a few concept sketches, like I was in. I was so excited.
How quickly did you nail down your look for the squirrel, like anthropomorphizing whatever it is?
First, that's why I didn't say that word. For cartoon animals. As soon, the first time out, like I had an idea. I knew they were going to stand upright. I knew they were going to have mostly people faces. Mm-hmm. But it's not like my faces. My cartoon faces are not easily adjustable into squirrel faces, and.
It's not like a monkey. It's not like you're doing Monkey Squad 1 with squirrel bodies at all.
Right. It's like it's almost like I'm fuck, dude. The head shapes, that's not exactly. It was an easy transition, at least. Okay. But it was instantly fun. I had a really good time doing it. I did not mind somebody else writing. Carl was great, man. The script was, all of the shots were shots that he picked. Like it was in the script of, what the angles were. And it took all of the guesswork out of it, which was nice. Like I felt like I still got to put my spin on it, but he says over the shoulder, looking at the tree across him, and it's like, okay, I got you. But it was cool because I found the shit out about myself, like that I could read a script and put it to paper with no fucking problem at all. Like, and I was proud of myself at the end of it.
That's great.
I didn't like, there was one panel that like the direction was like, one of the squirrels is standing up. He's standing up because he's waking up from being asleep. So he's standing up, but he's also kind of turning out his pockets at the same time to illustrate that he's got no more weed. And I found that extremely difficult to do. Like I tried of having this squirrel kind of standing up and getting in his pockets at the same time. And it's like, man, can we lose the pockets? Like I appreciate the gag of turning out skin pockets that don't really exist. Like I appreciate that gag, but to do 2 actions in one panel is just too much. And he was like, yeah, whatever, take it out. And so I just drew the squirrel standing up, and it turned out just fine. And the dude had like 9 panel pages. I think page 4 was probably not. Hey man, it was cool because I did it. it wasn't undoable, and it kind of showed me that maybe I could have more 9-panel pages.
Okay.
Because
I'm so glad we stopped coloring.
dude, so I'm draw so at the Squirrel comic is I think it's called Be Careful What You Wish For. I think the Squirrel comic is going to be in an annual. I'm sure we'll talk about it more when it comes up, but I had a great time doing it. And many thanks to Carl Smith for giving me an opportunity, and for what a great first experience on working somebody else's script. But so I'm doing these 9-panel pages, and so then I write. I do the Ramshackle stuff, and I write Monkey Squad 15 script, and it's great. I like it a lot. The second draft I added I had to do a second draft with more pages because I'd miscounted pages on my first run through and given myself one too many pages, and I wanted all of them. So I was just going to give myself 3 more pages and have more fighting.
Yeah.
And just expel extra pages on action. And flash forward to picking up the books with Joe Metro at the printer, and Joe Metro, many thanks to that dude. That dude put in half on Monkey Squad 115 as publisher, Fat Man Little Boy Press. Like, that dude put in half, and that shit was dope. This was the first one that we didn't have Kickstarter money since the Kickstarter, and it was totally reasonable with that dude putting in half, and that shit made Brandy happy too. And it was dope. So we're staying outside the printer, and I'm picking up the books, and we're talking about how we're going to hang out on Sunday to shoot the video for the Kickstarter. And I'm telling Joe about the script and about how I had to start rewriting because I got to page 4 and some shit wasn't lining up plot wise. Like, there were questions that I was bringing to the page that needed explanation as far as I'm concerned. If this is all, if I'm going to do this like this, then this has to make sense. I mean, and part of it is I'm making shit that happened in issue 4 relevant now. Like, I'm doing all the fucking whammy jammy, and it's fun, but to do the whammy jammy, I needed to explain it away, and I didn't do that in the first draft. The first draft is a 5-page good, a funny and sweet 5-page goodbye scene with Brendan and Connor on All Girl Earth as they're leaving, and I take my time, definitely. And I realized that I needed to rewrite that and explain a lot more things before they leave, concerning things that happened in the past and tying stuff up. And so I started to rewrite. And before I do the rewriting, I'm standing outside of the printer with Joe Metro, and we've just got the books, and I'm telling him about how I had to rewrite. I'm having to rewrite issue 15 because there's these plot holes in the beginning of it that I'm concerned about. And I told him, I was like, I'm already at 24 pages because it's a regular Monkey Squad is 20 pages.
Yep.
And I'm already at 24 because I had the extra page and I used the other 3 for action. And as soon as I said I need 24 pages, that dude's face was like, because that dude, all that we just spent, $400 on Monkey Squads, like, and he put in half. I tell him I need 4 more pages. That's more expensive Monkey Squads next time around. I'm telling him that now. And he's got the straight face, and I'm like, man, but I'm going to rewrite it, and I'm going to try and rewrite it tighter. And in looking at the script that I'd done and looking at 14 and 13 too, man. And it's something that I've kind of been gradually moving more and more into since issue 12. whatever. I don't want to say a since, but issue 12, I really let breathe and let the action tell the story, and had a lot of big panels and started doing a lot of that widescreen shit. I mean, I'd always kind of done it, but like annual 1 has so many 10-page panels, 10 panel pages. It's ridiculous. And that shit started to wear off, and I started taking my time and letting shit breathe, and not necessarily slowing down the pace, but having a lot of 3-panel pages for sure. 14 has a lot of 3-panel pages, 3 big horizontal panels. And if I was going to tell all of this story that I had to tell and still keep the whole second, 3/4, the whole second 75% of issue 15 the same as I was going to, because I like the rest of it. But it's just this furry fit. Yeah,
you froze up there for a sec, yeah.
All right. To make it all fit, I was going to have to keep it tight, and to keep it.
God damn it!
20 pages. I see him freezing again. I see it. It's happening. So I'll shut down a couple things. I started to rewrite page, or I started to rewrite it. And
as the full book, or just the initial 5 pages you were saying?
Yeah, like I was going to rewrite the whole thing. My goal was to rewrite the whole thing, but after I got the first 5 pages done, like I did some trimming, and I took away double page spreads. Like I didn't want to. I wanted to harp on the point, but like if it's the matter of filler, 3 pages of filler as opposed to just telling a compact story and not having double page spreads, as opposed to splash pages, I could still have a splash page and not a double page spread, and it's okay. And so I'm writing this scene, and I am at a point where I've only got 5 pages to do it, and now this one scene has become essentially 2 scenes that turn into one scene, but a scene starts in 2 different places that meet up at the end.
Okay.
And I have gotten to a place in my writing where I will only do a scene transition on a page turn. It's just where I've gotten. Like it's the only place that feels natural. It's the only place I'll do it. And I can't do that now. So as I begin to tell this scene in these 5 pages,
you can't do it now because of just like the space?
Because of the space. Okay. As I begin to tell this scene, as I'm starting to write this scene, and I'm doing the shit where I'm putting 3 panels on a page, it's like, Doug, you cannot do that right now. You've got to do 6 panel pages minimum for 5 pages. You just have to get this done. You've got to do it in 6. You can't. And so I started doing it. And there's a point on page 2 or 3 where I need to transition the scene. I'm done in the first place, and I need to move on to the second place, but I've got half a page left. So I suck it up, and I do a scene transition in the middle of a page, and it works just fucking fine. And I feel like it always would have worked just fucking fine. I just gotten myself into a comfortable place where I let the page turn do the work for me.
Yep.
And it worked great in the middle, and I got to move it along. And now the first 5 pages at one point was this, like I said, sweet and slow goodbye scene where, these boys have been there for a year, and they're taking their time saying goodbye to everybody and having special moments and making special memories or whatever. Now that's just fucking gone. Now it's dope shit, tying in stuff from a long time ago and calling back a bunch of dope shit to a then 1 page sweet memories and special moments scene, and to get the fuck out of there. And I started drawing page 1 last night with all blue pencil, and I'm super fucking geeked again. Like, the Squirrel comic was dope, but it kind of took me out of Monkey Squad. It kind of showed me that I could do other stuff, and that was bad news, man. Like, I need to be chained to this shit until I'm done with it.
Yeah.
for the sake of it and for the sake of me too. But I don't need to know that I could do other shit because it makes me want to. Well, what if I try to do other? No, I need to fucking finish telling this story and doing these comics and this rewrite and this kind of the 6-panel per page thing brought me back to that 2011 annual one days where it feels kinetic and it feels like there's so much packed on every page. And I liked it a lot. Like I can't wait to draw a lot of these pages because there's so much happening on them, and I am excited yet again.
So how easy was it to do that rewrite for you?
It was medium easy. I don't know. It didn't go too bad. I do the thing where I use my first draft so many times, so often that the Monkey Squad you read is pretty much not the dialogue, but at least the story and how the main events and the page turns and stuff, like all that stuff is usually first draft stuff.
Yeah.
The rewrites when I decided what questions needed to be answered, but I wanted to do it in the least expository way possible.
Kinetic and expository in the fuck, man.
Yeah, but saying expository totally froze me. Like without trying to fucking talk about it too much, I need to convey the science and recall the other places in the comic book that these events happened without being too over explanatory about it, and I am using one of the this happened in issue 4 stars and caption boxes in panel to kind of get past a little editor note to get past that. But it wasn't too hard. And then when it came down to rewriting the action stuff, I just decided to do I got that Black Science, Rick Remender, Lee, what the fuck is that guy's name? Matt Scalera, maybe. Leave it in the comments in the side chat. And it's Black Science #1 artist edition, giant size proof, and it's fucking 2.5 feet tall. That's an estimation. I don't know what that is in Canadian. It's big. It's about it's like a kilo,
30 inches,
like a kilo or something. Yeah, kilo inches. It's fucking huge, and it's black and white, and it's as big as an artist's page. It's bigger than an artist's page. It's fucking dope as shit, dude. It's heavy paper. It's dope as shit. And
why? Okay, sorry, I don't want to.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just because the colors that are in that book are just fucking crazy. I'm wondering why they went black and white. Or if that's
because I loved that the colors are super dope, but I really liked that it was black and white because you could appreciate that shit for that black and white shit. And looking at it, it showed me I want to use more black in my original art, and instead of relying so heavily on the Copics, but also Monkey Squad has a look, and this book has a look, and my look isn't necessarily black, but I was looking through issue 14 and noticing the lack of black as opposed to other issues before, because doing Copic is my go-to. But the artist Scalera, I believe Scalero maybe, did so much. Like if you're looking at the page, there's like an overall image with the larger part of the character maybe on the left hand side of the page, and then on the right hand side of the page will be like 3 panels of maybe of the same size or varying size or whatever, but that each that carry on the sequence, so you get that big still with still carrying on story with small on the right and using all of the space. And so I'm doing some of that shit, and that's how 6 panels became super easy in a lot of situations, because I used a big image and then threw some smaller ones in there that propel the story still without sacrificing me getting to fucking jam on a page. And it also presents the opportunity to draw some bigger cool shit, which, a lot of times I'm trying to, whatever, tell the story and am confined to having to draw smaller stuff, because so often I work horizontally. So often I work horizontally that I don't get to tell I don't get to use large vertical images, and I'm getting to this time, and it's dope so far.
Sounds awesome, man. Sounds like you found yourself a little workaround.
Yeah, man. Like, it's cool when a couple tweaks make something that I've done for so long exciting again. And I didn't realize the rut that I'd kind of gotten into. And it's nice to be brought aware of it so quickly, and I get to change it now and right when I'm starting a new issue, and it's a good place to feel extra creative and interested in being visual in a new way, or expressing myself visually in a new way.
Now, to get back to the blacks, so what are you actually doing to combat, the lack that you were talking about?
Well, I'm going to I'm gonna find them spaces, like and just lay some blacks down, and like I noticed, or just in the so in the top half of the page that I just drew, there's a couple places in panels where I'm just gonna like arch. I'm doing it to my screen right now. Mm-hmm. Like I'm gonna arch and put black back in the corners here on the home screen, and just throw it in, and maybe it'll make the other stuff pop. Man, I really am fucking amped to ink on top of this blue, dude. Like I'm kind of wondering if the Copic will be affected by the blue pencil underneath when it comes to the copy, when it comes to scanning, but I'll have to find out by doing it. That's another reason why I'm not going to wait until
you do all
I do all fucking 24 pages and find out I'm fucked and do have to erase shit, or just,
try a panel first.
Yeah.
No, because
totally.
It's one thing like that I've always heard them say on what's the fucking stupid tattoo show competition?
Ink Master. Ink bastards.
Yeah, they always seem to criticize a lot of the tattoo artists by saying don't be scared to use black.
Dude, Tim Conroy and Ray Wagner are the fucking black masters, dude.
Yeah.
And fucking sick for it. Both of those dudes are fucking sick, and both of that dudes use that shit. That Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio, that is Tim's Abby right now. Go look up at A Swim to Birds on Twitter and look at that dude's Abby, because that dude has got that shit. And then if you look through his, and I'm not even talking to you, Sean, but you, the home viewer too, motherfucker, go look at Tim's work, and that dude crushes that black and excels at that shit. And man, I've been reading a lot of that old EC stuff, and I've been really getting into different artists and getting into like Alex Toth and getting into Wally Wood and getting these old school guys that aren't afraid of laying down that black, and they get to draw half a face because the other half's fucking black and shadow. And I'm sure that's how you grind some shit out and make some shit happen. Fucking draw half a face half the time, and you're drawing a quarter of the faces, baby.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's gonna be like a black is gonna be my next hurdle, I think. it's just one thing that I never used when I was coloring in Photoshop, because I was able to just grab a whole section and slide the darkness down, and
Right.
that you'd get your shade there. And so it's just like, yeah, well, why do black? Um, and then with painting, I mean, I think that's going to be even tougher. It's just I don't know, man. Like I like one step up from black on the page.
Yeah.
Like it's just like if you're outlining, I don't want to put black anywhere else. It's just something that's in my head. You know, kind of like your friggin' scene transitions have to be on the page turn.
Yeah, sure, sure. Sometimes just where you are, right?
Yeah, I just got locked in that mode at some point, and I'm just gonna have to like bite the bullet and just say, okay, you know what, that is black. Make it fucking black. Like, I mean, I'm doing a series of sketch cards based on the This Is England movie and TV shows for DNS.
Oh, right on.
And so I'm taking one character and I'm doing her like transition from like the movie, which takes place in was it like 84, and then the first series of TV shows takes place in 86, and then the next TV show series takes place in 88. And this girl changes drastically through the three of them. So I'm doing like three different sketch cards from each iteration of her character. But the first one, it's like she's wearing a bomber jacket, and I'm just like, fuck, that's a black jacket. But I want to be able to show like the defining line between like her sleeve and like the front of her jacket. But if I just slap black down, I can't do that, or it all gets lost. So it's just like, fuck, man.
You got to do that. That shit where you use so many highlights of the bomber jacket sleeve and coat and shit to separate, man. Like,
oh, dude, it's you have like if you want to use blacks, man, you really got to pay attention to form.
right, exactly that, right. So much, man. There was some in Terraquil. There was some like it's nighttime and the perspective is looking up towards the moon through leaves on a tree at night, and it's just all of the leaves are black, and the sky behind is what the light source is, and maybe you see the moon through the trees too. But so like it's just overlapping branches and leaves, and go out at night and look at that shit, dude. It's real. You know what I'm saying? Like I tripped off it because like the next morning I was heading outside taking out trash or something, and it's morning, and I look, it's dark outside because it's 5 in the morning or whatever, and the sun's kind of rising. And there's light in the sky, a little bit of light in the sky, and I'm looking at black leaves because they're what's up close and they're what's in shadow and they're black, and the light sky behind it, and it's like that's what he fucking drew, and that shit's tight as a motherfucker, and he did whatever. He fucking did that shit, and it's sick as fuck, and it was like, I need to, whatever. And then in a related thought, I need to be on that same shit. Like that's shit I would like to be able to do, But I think seeing that shit, and man, when I worked on that squirrel comic, it was a lot of trees and stuff, which has not come up in Monkey Squad all that much. Trees hadn't really been my specialty, and I really got to kind of pay attention to that kind of stuff. Before as I was doing the concept stuff, me and Brandy had to go get the car work done. And when we get it done at my brother-in-law, has a shop, and he works on the car. He works right by the river. There's a river trail. We walk down to it. And as we're walking on the river trail and I'm doing the concept stuff or the sketches or whatever for that squirrel comic, I start tripping off the trees and noticing how branches break off into the smaller branches that the leaves come off of and stuff, because I'm gonna have to draw that shit, and it was super helpful, and I'm sure Sean Daly has had to do his due diligence of looking at trees and leaves and figuring out how that shit works out.
Oh yeah, I think it's called a dendritic pattern.
Oh, what?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Fucking making words up now, dude.
No, 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 no. I'm going to school for that shit. I learned it.
Oh,
I learned it.
I done learned it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So I mean, once I'm done this course, I'm gonna go back and look at your leaves, and I'm gonna call you out on everything, man.
I tried super hard. Grass and shit too, man.
Oh,
Like
that stuff's tough.
it made me kind of I had to develop a like a bush style and a tree style and a foliage style, and I was happy with how it all worked out. Like there's some tree stuff in 14. Oh, you saw it. You've seen Monkey Squad 14. Like there's some tree stuff in 14 that I thought turned out pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm fucking drawing. The worst part about having to draw those pages over again is drawing that motherfucking car, man. Like it was like the first 3 pages had several shots of all car, and those are totally wasted now, and I drew another car. But what's good though is that like those first pages, man, like page 3 was the first page where it was like, this is the hot shit. Page 1 and 2, like they were all serviceable, but there was shit all over them that bugged me, and getting a chance to have warmed up on those pages to then feel like I'm hitting my stride right now is all, it all feels good. And man, I also had to, I mean, it was that rewriting shit was a real run-in with that same thing we were talking about last time, when my greatest writing fear is not thinking of the dopest shit to do at said time and missing out on ideas.
Yeah.
And it was close, man. Like I'd almost missed an opportunity to do some dope shit. And I look at it like a super close call, but it also, like while I'm relieved that I got it in there, like I'm also nervous that who knows what else I'm not thinking of.
Dude, that's what stalled me out on Patient Clem for the longest time. Like I literally just started I started rewriting the origin last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, the good part about working with 4-5D now is I can, kind of squeeze Patient Clem in whenever I feel like it.
Yeah, sure.
But no, it's going to be the first 4 pages that came out in Obscura are kind of now just the blueprint for Patient Clem. They're going to be rewritten. There's going to be things that happen that set up. What you would have read in Obscura.
Okay.
And it's just like, yeah, man, there's so much rad stuff that like, I hadn't even thought of doing. Over a year ago now when that came out, and being able to revisit it, and having spent like, months and months and months, just letting it, simmer in my head, and then I'd go to write it down, and then it'd be like, oh, this is rad. But then like, you wait another week and you'd be like, fuck, I'll hear a song or something, and I'll be like, oh shit, that's the new opening.
Yeah, man. Like I get so hung up on, this is the way that it is. This is the story. This is the way that it is, that that it's so hard for me to fucking get past it sometimes, man. Like when I first started writing issue 15, like my whole idea was that Brendan and female Dr. Metropolis are working on the Hot Rod Time Machine, wrapping it up, wrapping up the car that they've just rebuilt, and kind of just talking about it while they're doing it. And then Connor and the girls come in, and they all, that's where the scene goes, and the scene goes from there. And in the rewrite, it was like, man, I've been hung up on this fucking them working on this car. Like the shot is them under the hood and talking under the hood while they're putting this car together, and that's how the information is conveyed,
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm so hung up on that. And when I was going to do the rewrites, it's like, all right, Doug, fuck them working on the car opening bit, you've hung on to it this whole time. Like, even, you know, when I'm doing 14 and I'm thinking about, I mean, shit, 14 didn't have anything to do with the story. Even at the end of 13, when I'm thinking about where 13 is going to go and it doesn't happen until 15, it's this scene. It's them working on this car. And it's like, why are you so hung up on this working on the car shit? Don't do the working on the car shit. And they're still working on the fucking car by the end of it. Like, I mean, I win the rewrites. They're working on the fucking car. They're doing it. And it's, I get so fucking hung up on that shit that I don't see any other, you know, sometimes I just don't see any other avenue. And there could be plenty there. Like, I, you know, sometimes I think like it's just, I find what works and I go with it because fuck it, it works. I don't hate it. It works. Move forward, you know?
Mhm.
Because I could see how if I do wait to look for that perfect thing, you know, when is that going to come along? And then how long until I fucking get started? So pick this and move forward. But now, instead of them just working on this car and talking about it, she's telling him a story, and we go to where the story is, and we encounter a flashback. So you get the information, and I guess part of it is I want the reader to know that it was Dr. Metropolis and Brendan were the ones that got the car back together, without having to over-explain that Dr. Metropolis and Brendan were the ones that put the car back together. So if you see them under the hood and actively working on it in coveralls and with grease on their hands, then you, the reader, know instantly that they are the ones that got this car together, without them having to discuss it or me putting in the caption box or whatever.
Yeah.
But now, if instead of them just kind of telling jokes and kind of meandering to the goodbye, Dr. Metropolis is telling Brendan a story, and then you go to there and for a little bit, and then also in that same scene, the girls and Connor, who just kind of entered in the original draft and kind of interrupted Brendan and Dr. Metropolis' conversation, and then they all move towards the goodbye. The girls are now telling Connor the opposite side of another story that's also related to the car, as they're on their way into the scene. And then both of those scenes kind of come together for a brief goodbye now. And in the story that the girls are telling Connor on the way to the laboratory, you go to there too, and there's an action sequence and stuff. And so now I've incorporated history in two different stories that tie back to earlier issues. Some call back particular panels and earlier issues, and there's action in a story, in a scene that was just a 5-page goodbye sequence, now has 2 flashbacks and action sequence involved, and I couldn't be happier.
That sounds awesome.
And the threat of me having not thought of that, and letting it go, you know, just doing it the original way is chillingly frightening to me.
Yeah. Like with Clem, on the surface it looks like a zombie story, but it's actually a war story. And
That's dope.
I had zero clue, like, that it was going to be a war story when I even started writing it. And so I had, like, you know, the original 4 pages from Obscura. I had two more blocks of writing out of the way, where this war was just, like, you know, kind of being mentioned in passing. Because I had absolutely no idea what the war was going to be about.
Right.
You know, what it was being fought over, what started it, or anything like that. And so I was just, you know, like, you know, just kind of writing scenes, like, you know, and like just meditating on it. And see, I wasn't even as brave as you, and just, like, you know, just writing stuff, and, like, you know, hoping it was awesome. It took so, like, dude, like, it took so long, and the inspiration for the stuff just it comes out of nowhere, man. You know, I think but I was spent the time not worrying about it and just just banging out other shit. And to the point where like it was like I watched the UFC fights the other week, and freaking like Sinead O'Connor was doing the intro for Conor McGregor. Boom,
No shit, really?
boom. I had it. I got it all worked out. By the time she had finished her freaking song, I had it worked out, man.
That's awesome.
And she inspired a character that was never going to be in the book. She um and now this person can now inspire the reason for the war, or not the reason for the war, but it inspired me to figure out how the war was going to be started.
Okay.
And I mean, if I had just written down like, because I mean, like, you can fucking make up any good reason to start a war. Doesn't mean it's cool, right?
Right.
Doesn't mean it's cool. And dude, like, I couldn't be like now. I mean, now I can bang out the entire. I think I can sit down and write out the entire story now. Um, and oh, dude, I can't wait. Can't fucking wait. It's gonna be so much better than just any little dribble that I would have like just come up with like over a cigarette out in the garage. Um, and it's because I was, and it's from being critical. Um, the it's I mean, was it tough for you to just be like, I mean, maybe not with the first 5 pages because you know that there was like things open that you had to close up, but any other time you've had to go back, like how hard is it for you to do a second draft? Is essentially what I'm getting at.
I it depends. Like some things are some things bug me. Oh, fuck, that's unrelated. It is not hard for me to do a second draft. I have because I barely do them. When a lot of times when I'm writing a script for Monkey Squad, I just do the beats. I do the beats. I get my page turns. I know where my reveals are. I know the things that have to happen, and the dialogue along the way. If I know that what I write isn't what's going to happen. I write the general gist of the conversation, but I know when it comes to what words will be in those bubbles, I won't know until I'm breaking that page down specifically.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've just I'll just tell myself, like I just know. I don't even have to tell myself anymore. Like I just know I'll do that part on the page, but the beats part, I usually nail it in one for me, and I don't know if that's good or bad, and I don't know. I know it works for me, but I because Monkey Squad is such a it's got such a direction now, and that certain things have to happen. At least in this 6-issue story arc, certain things, these certain events have to happen in these issues, and most of those require full page full page spreads or whatever, full page art to tell these main sequences. That means that the other stuff has to fit in. Now, while I managed to change scenes in that, or change locations, not even change scenes, change locations in that first scene mid-page, that does not mean that anytime else in the rest of the comic that scenes don't transition on page breaks. Like it's still in the classic Monkey Squad 1 style. Like you get, if a scene is going to totally transition from totally different characters, that shit happens on a page break or on a page turn, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole issue kind of, and most of me plotting out a comic goes, 4 pages here, 4 pages here, then 4 pages back to here. I've got to make these events happen in these 4 pages. And I make myself get it in there. So whether or not I have enough, whether or not I have enough story, I just have to fit it in those 4 pages because I need this other thing to happen. So much of it is about timing, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just the nature of superhero comics, or because so many of these things are, you know, big monsters or somebody punching somebody else in the face type shit, that I don't know if the same goes for other types of, you know, I don't know if it's just this sort of storytelling leads to that sort of storytelling. The nature of comic books, superhero comic books, requires this sort of storytelling, or if that's just my take on it or what. But
like, you mean like the that type of storytelling, as in, like, you know, like the page turns got to be there and the reveals have
the
to
reveals and that
yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you find that that's stuff that you face when you are writing Patient Clem?
It really depends. I the difference between what I'm doing and what you're doing is, one is Patient Clem is going to be initially web based, so I don't really have to deal with page.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. But I do keep the idea of it being collected in mind. At the same time, if I was to have something, I think I would grade what you would consider like the page turn reveals by importance, and maybe stick to, like, you know, 1 or 2 per 22, 26 pages.
Right.
You know, whereas I've written stuff before where it was just like every page turn was important, you know, and it's just like, you know, it's almost a jarring experience to read it after that way. It's just like everything just comes in like just a wave. It's just like, you know, story, build up. Oh my God, page. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And I was doing that every freaking page, and it was
a little
just
formulaic. All right.
there was no need for it. So I'm picking my spots. It has its places. I don't think it's so I don't know. I don't think it's only a superhero specific device to use, because I mean, horror should definitely, you know, use that, you know, page turn revealing method. It really depends on the story itself and what the reveal actually is, and how important is it. And, you know, a lot of times people just do it because it's cool. You know,
it is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Well,
it's really fun.
I remember reading some Mark Waid, Peter Krause comic on Thrill Bent or whatever their web-based comic series is, and I kind of remember the artist talking about it, or maybe we fucking talked about it. That we Ronin back then, because I think maybe the artist was talking about how page turns don't matter. Like, they have to, in Marvel and DC comic books, have to take ads or can use ads to be to plan reveals or plan double page spreads using ads. And the artist was saying it was a different experience, just saying where every page turn was its own reveal if you wanted it to be, but because they weren't constrained to doing the things that have to be in a certain order or whatever. Since it's web based, it's just comics. It's just a stream of comics as opposed to this. And I could appreciate that side of it, or that appeal to being able to just stream the story instead of being constrained to these certain amount of pages, or having to have a double page spread only when the timing works out right, or have a page turn reveal only when the timing works out right, being unlimited in that regard. And I do feel like we've talked about this before, but never on YouTube. That's the old show.
No, I mean, but it's I mean, it's difficult to wrap my head around writing for the web, because at this point, what I'm thinking of doing is, not releasing it page by page, but panel by panel.
Oh, nice.
Which is just another.
That's smart, dude.
But it's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
But
that's.
I mean, it's good. I mean, it's easy. I mean, I can write a page easy enough, and DNS can just draw a panel whenever the hell he feels like it. But it's the what's hard to figure out is what's gonna keep a reader's interest over a long period of time. Because I mean, you read a floppy, and I mean, it's only going to take you a minute to get to like that page turn and be like, oh shit. Whereas like now you're only getting a panel, man, and it might be another week before you're seeing that next panel.
Yeah. Like I would think that the most beneficial, not the only, but the most beneficial thing to releasing it per panel is that you could stack up some panels in advance, because panels are easier to stack up than pages.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I've slept on releasing Monkey Squad 13 on Monkey Squad Monday for so long, because it's just it'll just be 2 months and then it'll be over. Like I don't want to. So the website's only the annual 2.
Yep.
And when I started posting them, I was on issue 8, maybe, when I started posting issue 1, 2 pages every Monday, and I ran out of new material. I mean, after annual 2, I guess, because it was still a little bit before 13 was in my hands, after I'd run out of annual 2 stuff to post on Monkey Squad Monday. And then like I just didn't go back to it, because even if I ran through 13 and 14 right now, it's still that'd be 4 months.
Yeah.
4 months flies by nothing. Not that it even expends that much energy building up, giving a fuck, or trying to make other people give a fuck, but like I can still just not do it too. You know what I'm saying? I can just easily just not do it, and it's just as fine.
Yeah. Well, one thing we're doing for, I think we're gonna have DNS start doing it for the Clem rewrite, or maybe this second script that he's gonna have to start soon, is no longer working on 11 by 17 pages. What I've had him do, and if you check out Portless on Twitter, that's DNS. He did an image recently of Bill and Lenny, and dude, they look so detailed, like super detailed. And what we're gonna do is what I suggested, which is going to be to help with adding detail to panels, and this should what I'll explain in a second will also help when it comes to lettering. And what I'm doing is I'm having them only do 1 panel per page drawn. So he doesn't. Okay. And what I'm having him do, if it's like, say, if the panel on the printed page should be 4x2. Okay, what I'm going to have him do is draw that 4x2 panel as an 8x4, but still try and contain most of what's going to be on the printed page in that original 4x2, and just draw extra background behind around it. So when it comes to the page, when it comes to the final page, or when it comes to what he's drawn bigger already. So he's able to, fill in the more detail to it, which will be great to see out of him.
Right. Totally.
But then, since it's already double the size and has extra background, if whoever comes in after lettering, because I fucking hate lettering it and I don't want to do it anymore.
Oh, how times have changed.
Oh, dude, I just did 4 pages and now I'm like, fuck, man, get my room in the get my bed ready in the crazy ward because I'm coming back. But no, but what we can do is now we're going to assemble the finished pages after the fact. And we'll be able to scale up or down depending on how much script needs to go into that panel, and we'll have all that extra background that we'll be able to crop out. So we're adding detail and like fitting the letters in is going to be so badass. And
man, that sounds awesome. That sounds like a really good idea.
Oh, dude, it's trying to explain it though is fucking tough.
Yeah, I could see, but like remember when Sean Seal told us how he made panels and like projects, like he'll build a canvas, the panel size, and project maybe the sketch up on the wall or something, or onto his panel, and then he'll do it on that and then scan that and make his panel from that. Like, but how fucking smart is that when you think about it? Because if you just make the art and then make your panel from the art, but like you say, have enough extra stuff that you can make that panel any shape you want, or you could if the text has to fill up the top or switch it, make it fill up the left, or switch it and make it fill up the right side, switch where the focus of the panel, like that's super smart, dude.
Yeah, and
that gets you past the thing. Like when I do my art, when I'm laying out my page, I do the letters just like the rest of the art because I don't want to get to that point and find out I can't tell my story and say these characters are drawn specifically to say these fucking things, and if I can't say that shit, then I'm fucked, and I can at least, if you've got to have that many hands on one product, at least then you're giving yourself like a fail safe to get out of any sticky situations by having no negative options,
Yeah, and I mean with editing scripts now, you get a script come in and it's like 7 to 9 panels, and one of the panels has the life story of 5 different people in it, and it's like, well, if we could just scale the art down, we could keep all those stories in there.
Wow, dude, but yeah, you're right.
So it's not only helping the story, because like right at this point now I'm just having to cut out all this dialogue, which I mean some of it can be lost, but I mean you kind of want to keep it in there. It's good stuff. But that just means now the art's gonna suffer, because if you're telling the life story of 5 different people, guess what? There's 5 to 6 different people in that panel as well.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, if you can keep everything a puzzle like right to the last minute, because I mean, like the last thing I wanted to do was letter this stuff first and then be like, okay, here, squeeze the art around that. That doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all. But if you can keep kind of like everything just kind of floating there until like the last minute, and then just kind of mold them all together, I think the output that you get should be fucking great. I mean, it's an experiment right now. So on a future episode of Ronin, we'll tell you how I failed at that, or if it was a raging success. But from the looks of it right now, I mean, um, just from DNS doing that one Bill and Lenny image, the detail he managed to squeeze in just by enlarging the scale that he's drawing on, the product's going to be so much better. I hate calling it product, but
well, whatever.
Yeah,
it's industry terms, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's going to be a nice workaround, because I mean, the last thing I want as an editor is for the art to come in and be like, oh, I can't change that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I don't want to send back an entire page when now if all he has to do is like go back to one panel and just be like, oh yeah, I can touch that up, boom, and also for him, it's another income stream for him, and for any other artist that listens to this show and wants to copy what we're doing. You look at the sale of the original pages, right? Like, I mean, they're astronomical. Well, what if, and like there's like pages that don't sell because they don't have the main character on them, or whatever reason that they base their prices on for selling comic pages. Well, now he has the opportunity to just sell panels, because one panel is going to be on one page. So if you like one panel, talk to DNS, man. He'll sell it to you. And he's going to have and it'll be huge. It's not going to be as small, just little thing. It's going to be fucking gigantic, man. Like, he's going to try and blow up these images so that they fill an entire page if you were to have the original. It's going to be badass.
That sounds dope, dude.
Mm-hmm. And that page that he draws will be full of cocks and balls and tits that didn't make it into the actual book because we had to crop it out to fit letters.
So many balls.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to keep it fun for ourselves, man.
Hell yeah, dude. That sounds like fun. All right, dude. I think we've done it.
So yeah, let's now that we have 2 viewers, let's shut it down.
Thank you for watching, you two. Check out Sean and I on our other show, Douglas and Dragons.
Which we'll be switching weeks with, hopefully.
Yeah. Talk to or John said he's gonna see if we can't play on Sunday.
All right. If we can't this week, it might be a few weeks before I can get back on there then, but. Yeah, man.
We'll see how it goes down. All right. Yeah, you need a cigarette and I need a weed nap.
All right, kids, go out and make comics.
Yeah, make some comics.